Hello, I'm Mike Cisco, and welcome to the IT Humor segment of the IT Manager Institute channel. Today's session is number 5, Change the Locks. This is another story from my IBM SE days. It goes way back to 1979. Here's a photo of me making one of my first presentations as an IBM rookie. Note the 3-piece suit and the old equipment that we used to do presentations with. I don't use much of those anymore, do we? Anyway, this was back in 1979 when I was an IBM Systems engineer. I had a job to install a payroll system in a large hospital in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. It was my first time to work in this hospital, and the reason I was given the assignment is they had purchased an IBM System 32, the computer system that you see in the image there, and with it they got an IBM industry application program for hospital payroll. It was software written specifically for hospital payrolls, and it was in an IBM iApp is what we called it. It was one of the first systems that you could buy both hardware and software together to run your applications. They had these for all types of industries. Hospital was one of those, construction, manufacturing, so forth. I had installed probably 3 or 4 hospital systems with this iApp, including billing, payroll, accounts receivable, general ledger, all the applications that you use in the business side of the hospital. So I had a lot of familiarity with it, so they gave me the assignment to go install this system for this Hattiesburg, Mississippi hospital. Well, the hospital had 2 big systems. They had an IBM mainframe system to do most of their work, and they bought this IBM System 32 that they had in a separate area from their main data center. So they had basically 2 types of computer systems, and I'm going to work on the IBM System 32. Well, when I got there, they had just brought in a new administration team. They brought in a new administrator, and he was making a lot of changes. One of the changes that they made, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd day I was there to work on this project, they fired the CIO, and they fired a few more managers. And the reason for that is this administrator was bringing in his own management team. So he's replacing the senior management team of the hospital, bringing in his own team, people that he'd worked with before, and he's going to make a big difference in this hospital. All right, they were concerned about possible retribution or payback from these employees that they had fired. So they were concerned about that. So one of the things that they did is they changed all the locks in the buildings. So places where you would have to have a key and a lock to get into the building, and other places they changed the locks. And the reason was, back in those days, you had to be in the building to use the computer system. They didn't have remote access like we have today, no internet in 1979. So they changed the locks, and that was going to keep people from getting on to the computer system. That was one of the precautionary measures that they took. Well, the new management team thought everything was taken care of, but they forgot something. What do you think they forgot? Think for a second. They forgot something pretty important. All right, well, the next day they were in for a big surprise. They checked the daily computer access log, and when they looked through that log, they were in for a real shock. And the shock was the CIO that they had fired was using the computer from 1 o'clock to 3 a.m. in the morning. That means he was in the building and logged into the main computer. It wasn't more on the System 32 that I was working on. He didn't have the access codes to get into that, but he was in the main computer system, logged in, doing work on that mainframe system. That was a big concern for them. They got real nervous about that. He could have caused major damage because he knew a whole lot about the inner workings of the hospital, about the computer system and so forth. He could have created some real problems for them. Well, the question is, how did he get past the security wall that they created by changing all the locks? It turns out they forgot to tell one very important person. and that person was the night operator. They had a night operator who worked in IT, and one of the things that he did was he did the nightly backups of the systems and other types of maintenance work that needed to be done for the computer system and for the IT organization. Well, when the CIO couldn't get in, he called the night operator. The night operator wasn't aware that the CIO had been fired, so he let him into the building like he would normally do, because in his mind he's reporting to the CIO. That's his boss. All right, so he didn't know that the CIO had been fired, so he let him into the building. Well, fortunately, the CIO was simply closing out a few things to help the hospital. He wasn't there to do anything malicious or bad. He was there to help the hospital. Well, the hospital was very lucky. The CIO could have planted some software bombs, he could have done some other things, and he could have covered his tracks because he was smart enough to know what to do to be able to cover his tracks had he wanted to. The CIO could have caused some major damage to this hospital: physical damage, system and data errors, downtime scenarios, and so forth. He could have created some real headaches for this hospital if he'd had a mind to do that. Alright, here's the lesson. The lesson is, be sure you communicate changes to the entire staff. Make a checklist so that you can be very thorough in covering all the bases whenever you go through terminating someone and so forth, so that you take care of all the precautions that you need to protect your systems and your organization. One missed piece can cause you some real headaches, so you want to make sure that you're very thorough when you go through all these things, and a checklist is going to help you do it the best. Please subscribe to my IT Manager Institute channel, hitting the subscribe button below, and I have 4 segments: quick tips, IT Management 101, IT humor, and whiteboard lessons. Hope you enjoy them all. If you're interested in more IT Manager resources, take a look at my website at itmanagerinstitute.com. Thanks again. I wish you the best success. Have a great day.